Hi again, Hamish from the Guitar Factory School. Welcome to our second installment on close position triads. We're going to deal with the first inversion close position triads. This is a follow-up to our first thing that we did on root position. Okay, so a bit of jargon busting. A triad, 3 or more notes played together. We're going to do major triads, so that's 1, 3 and 5. Now if you're not sure what I mean by that, you might like to check out the link. Root position means that the 1 is the bass. First inversion means that we've got the same 3 elements, but we're going to have the third as the bass, not the root, not the 1. And close means as close as possible to each other, so it's all within an octave range. Now if you're not sure what an octave means, have a look at that as well. If you recall the first episode of this, we have root position triads down here, I think starting on A. So that would mean pinky on fret 5, bottom E string, third finger on fret 4 on the A string, and first finger on fret number 2 on the D string. So that's kumbaya, 1, 3, 5, and that's your A major triad. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the same elements there, which happen to be A, C sharp and E. We're going to juggle them around. We're going to play the same chord, but we're going to invert it. Okay, so we're going to have a third finger on fret 9 on the bottom E string. That's the third. We're going to have our first finger across fret 7, which is the 5th, and our first finger on the same fret barring cross on fret 7, and that will give us an A major triad again. This time it's the first inversion because the configuration is going 3, 5, 1. As opposed to 1, 3, 5. Same notes, just reordered. That's all these inversions are. Now if we take it up a string, it's exactly the same deal again. We've got fret 9 on the A string, fret 7 respectively on the D and the G strings, and that gives us a D major triad, first inversion. A good way to visualize that too, when you get up to the higher strings, is you can see if your pinky goes onto the bottom E string, you can see the root note pretty clearly off that, so you can get a pretty good mental picture of where that root is, and you can get your bearings from there. 1, 2, 3 up the major scale, starting on the third. There's a nice little bit of chordal information there that you can use to, play chords, and also do little runs from. Okay, if we take it up again, so this time we're looking at G with the B bass. That's how you could describe a first inversion G. And this time it's going to go third finger on fret 9 on the D string, first finger on fret 7 on the G string, second finger on fret 8 on the B string. So that's a G chord this time. The 1 is the top note, and that's the common denominator for all these sorts of voicings. The 1, the root note, is the top note. So if you want to know what the name of the chord is, you need to get pretty handy knowing the notes on higher strings, and you can do that with your octave shapes like I keep on saying. The last one, second finger on fret 9 on the G string, first finger across the fret 8 on the B and E strings, like that, and it looks a lot like an F sort of shape, so that's a C over E. That's how you could describe that one. So I'm going up these voicings vertically so you can see them across strings. So that's, to recap, A, D, G, C, like that. Okay, these are all of course movable shapes just like the other ones were. What I'd suggest that you do is practice maybe small little chord progressions that are very, very common, and one of the most common ones would be a 4 to a 1 kind of chord progression. Again, if you don't know what I'm saying there, you might like to look at the link coming up. So the trick is, of course, with these is to mix and match them, so you don't play just exclusively root position then exclusively first inversion for any kind of chord progression. The advantage in knowing these sorts of patterns and mixing them is that you've got more leeway and you can be more expressive melodically as well. So if I say go from the D chord to an A chord, that would be the 4 chord to the 1 chord in the key of A. This is one of the root position ones that we looked at before. So I'm on the top strings, fret 7, fret 5, respectively on the G, B and top E strings. That's a D chord. Now instead of going to the A chord like that, which is a root position. I won't go into explaining that. You might like to look at them if you haven't seen them. So you can hear with that, if you listen to the top note there, we go from that to that. So there's a bit of a jump. With the first inversion, we've got a nice smoother sort of transition, because that top note is actually saying the same for both, because that note A, of course, is the one of the chord A. So starting to get smaller transitions from chord shape to chord shape is one of the advantages in knowing different inversions. That means literally less distance to travel between the notes, which A, makes it easier to play, and B, it sounds really cool. It's a lot smoother. Okay, so if I do this, say, in the key of, I'll do it again in A, so we'll go root position D, and there it is again. Okay, so that was root position D, so fret 5, 4, 2 on the A, D and G strings, as shown on the other video, to the first inversion A chord. So we're going from the 4 chord to the 1 chord again, and that would be on the same string set. So that would be 4, 2, 2 on the A, D and G strings. And okay, bit of cliche kind of country rock sort of stuff there. Not that I'm really into that kind of stuff that much, but it gives you a window into that kind of sound. Okay, so here's D, root position, fret 12, 11, 10 on the D, G and B strings, to first inversion A. That's a nice one. It's the same as that one down there, just transferred. Here's another concept, transferring the shape from one set of strings to another set of strings. Very useful.